You can do better than that. How are you feeling? Beautiful. I love to see it. I'm about to introduce our next guest. You may know him from Gods of Egypt, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Titans. Let's play a little video. Please make some noise. He is Brenton Thwaites. That's it. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Very happy to be here. Thanks for the intro.
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, welcome to Perth. It is wonderful to have you. Let us know, have you been here before? Is this your first time?
I've been here 4 times in the last 6 months.
Excellent.
I'm considered a Western Australian now, I think.
Practically at this stage. In this trip, you've been here a few days, I think?
I just finished a movie down in Albany, or Albany. How do we say it?
Albany.
I always call it Albany, because I think that's the more English, more correct way of saying it, but it's Albany. Albany.
Exactly.
We shot a little horror thriller down there with Daisy Ridley, who's in Star Wars, which I'm sure there's a lot of Star Wars fans here today. And that worked out really well. It should be a movie. Before that, I was here for a fight. I had a boxing fight. I got my face punched in a lot, which was good. And then before that, I did I Met a Girl and then Son of a Gun back in the day. So I've been here a fair bit.
Keeping very busy. We'll love to see it. I'm sure we'll touch on a few of those in very, very shortly. I'll let you all know I've got some questions to ask you.
Perfect.
But we will open up the floor to some audience questions. So if you have any questions that's tingling in your brain, get them ready. I'll let you know when we're ready to take some questions, but here's your warning, we will be opening it up, all right?
Perfect.
Now, we have to know, let's talk about your roots. Where did your journey into film start?
Well, I come from North Queensland, the other side of the country up the top, so not a lot of movies being made up there. It was a bit of a journey getting down to Brisbane to study, and then Sydney, and then I went to America when I was about 20. My first thing I did was Sea Patrol. Any Sea Patrol fans in the house? Got one, that's good. That's one. That was my first job, and then my second was Home and Away. Any Home and Away fans in the house?
Yeah.
A few more. And then I booked a job called Slide. Anyone know about Slide? Slide was a great teen drama, kind of mirroring Skins. Skins was the British version, and the Aussie version was Slide. And then I went to America and was homeless for about 6 months. And then I came back to Australia and got my first movie. So it was kind of a back and forth right from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely a roller coaster ride. But since then, you've played a bunch of characters from both film and television. Is there any that stands out to you most, or you most resonate with?
Well, I guess from the early days, when I booked Maleficent, that was kind of a transition for me in the sense that it was my first role in a big studio movie, big Disney movie, and that gave me a lot of recognition, which then allowed me to book 3 or 4 other movies before Maleficent came out. So that opportunity-wise was probably the most poignant for me. But I have to say my favorite experience was Pirates of the Caribbean. It was just so much fun to shoot, mate. I had long hair and it's saw with Johnny Depp. It was perfect.
Awesome, that sounds incredible. Maybe we'll go into that. That's one of your first big series of films?
That was Maleficent was my first big one, and then I'd done probably 4 or 5 films before Pirates.
Yep.
But Pirates was my big...
Like a big franchise.
It was kind of my... I mean, Maleficent was big, but I had a bigger role in Pirates.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit more involved in the franchise with Pirates, yeah.
Was there a particular like scene or moment in your experience with Pirates that
you know what
is kind of the most iconic for your memory?
The one that comes to mind is when I'm standing with a sword to Johnny and I'm threatening him. And I remember just shaking the sword like, this guy's gonna kill me in the movie and in real life. But no, I was a fan. Like I was like you guys. I loved Jack Sparrow so much, and I had to calm myself just to work with him. I was, kind of a little bit too nervous and shaky when I was doing a scene with Johnny, but he's such a sweet, supportive actor, and he's such a lovely man. He kind of, helped me through that, and yeah, it was nice.
That's incredible. You would have worked with many incredible, talented people throughout your journey. Is there any that spark a particular memory of something that where you've learned something, or something?
I mean, I've been very lucky in the people I've worked with. Jeff Bridges was fantastic. He's very supportive and, took on that mentor role for me. Ewan McGregor, who I worked with on Son of a Gun in WA, was great. We were really good friends. Johnny was fantastic. I've been very lucky. There's no horror stories on my front. And if there was, I mean, I don't know, it's very rare to come across an actor nowadays that are just terrible and mean and horrible and bullying. Most people are nice and supportive. But more recently, I worked with Daisy, and she's one of the most talented actresses I've ever seen in my life. She just has this ability to be really subtle and have so much going on, and such a colourful inner emotional life by doing so little. She kind of took me out of my scene as well. She has these big heightened moments where she's, breaking down and crying, and I'm finding myself like, I'm not in my character. I feel sorry for you. Are you okay? Are you okay? And then on cut, she'd just start chatting about the weekend, and I guess more recently, Daisy Ridley was just extremely talented, and she was a great scene partner. Yeah, it was good.
Well, elephant in the room. I'm sure there's a lot of...
Where? Are you saying
they're right at the back. Everybody, I'm sure there's a lot of Titan fans in the audience today.
Oh,
so
nice.
We have to ask your portrayal of Dick Grayson, of course, Robin and Nightwing. How's your experience bringing that character in life? Such a beloved, probably from one of the most beloved franchises in the world. What was your experiences with that?
You know what? It was a time Pirates had just come out, and if I'm honest with you, it didn't do things for me in my career that I thought it would do. I was in LA. I moved. I rented a house. I had just had a child. My wife moved. My partner at the time moved over with me, and I just stared at my emails every day, going, "Why am I so unemployed right now?" With Pirates, this big movie came out, and then the opportunity to read Titans came, and I read the bio, and it was the story of Robin. And I didn't know much about Batman and Robin other than Christopher Nolan's movies, The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, which I loved. But I was worried that the TV version wouldn't be as dark, wouldn't be as tonally as close to what I imagined that world to be. So it was a bit of a risk going into it, but I loved the reason why I did it was because it was something that's never been done before, and it just had a great backstory to it. It was the brief was basically Dick Grayson when he leaves Batman and tries to become his own guy, his own superhero. And episode 1, season 1 had a really great kind of transition feel. Like it was a very strange, unique first episode to a show. Here's a guy who doesn't really belong where he's at. He's running from something. He's got a lot of past trauma that he's trying to recover from. And so I just thought it was a rich place to build a show from. And then obviously the advantage is I get to play two superheroes, you know, Robin and then Nightwing. So later on in the show, in the end of the second season, the third season, it was kind of a rebirth. You know, the character had this, you know, another whole character that I could play. So I was very lucky to be the first guy to bring Nightwing to the screen.
That's awesome. Do you feel you approached Robin and Nightwing differently going into portraying him?
Yes, because Robin had this feel that he was being forced to solve problems the way that Batman had taught him to solve the problems. Dick Grayson didn't want to be Robin anymore, you know, and so playing that character and getting into the aggression and the way he would fight people and beat the shit out of people was going against his grain a little bit, as much as it was a lot of fun and we all want to see baddies get bashed. So that moral change was a wonderful thing to play because Nightwing is more mature. He approaches situations in a different way. He's a better leader. He's taking on more of a mentorship kind of role to the younger superheroes. And I felt like I was doing that in real life as well. I was the older actor. We had a lot of younger, new, you know, less experienced actors on the show. So it was up to me, leader. And I made mistakes as well as the character, you know. So and I was great at things that Dick was great at. So it was a great mirror and a parallel to what was going on in real life. Yeah.
Awesome. With being in Titans, once again, being such a beloved franchise to so many people, there'd be some very passionate fans. Is there any moments where an interaction like kind of stays with you, or memorable fan interaction at all?
That's a really good question. We had these fans in Toronto that knew wherever we were going to be. We would shoot out in the sticks like an hour outside of the city, minus 30 degrees in the snow, and it was just horrible, you know, at nighttime. And these fans would be like on the edge of nowhere, and they'd be waving, and you know, I'd think, wow, they're really passionate about this show. Like, we're in the middle of a farm in the winter and at nighttime, it's minus 30 degrees, and these fans are, you know, shaking just to try and get a look. I don't know why that sticks out, but I thought, like, wow, you must really love the show and want to see what's going on here. Shooting the show can often be not fun. You know, it's boring and you got to sit around for a long time. But there are very exciting moments. Shooting in downtown Toronto in the middle of the city, you know, big fight scenes, and you know, fans would kind of hang out and watch and clap, and that theatrical element to it I really enjoyed. Having a film and having a stunt, but behind the camera was like, you know, the city and people from Toronto kind of watching, and but I mean, I guess to sum it all up, the response worldwide had been just so collective and collaborative, and it's very clear that Nightwing is beloved by millions of people all around the world. So for me to play that character and, you know, kind of take on that and, you know, be somewhat accepted by that community means a lot. Yeah.
That's absolutely beautiful. Within your career, you've had the opportunity to have roles in very different genres, from action to fantasy to drama. Do you have a specific favorite kind of role?
That's a good question. You're a good interviewer. I can't wait to get some of your questions out there. You know what I've loved about my journey is that I've been able to play the superhero, the pirate, you know, the romantic comedy lead, the dramatic lead. I've had such a different, varied career. I actually really enjoyed Titans because it enabled me to use my physicality, and I found I was really good at learning and really enjoyed learning. It's probably why I was good at it, because I really enjoyed the fighting aspect to it. I loved the sun's going down, or it's coming up because we're shooting at night, and we've got one more take or two more takes, and you know, we're doing a 15 strike fight, and I have to get it, and I barely know the choreograph, and I'm, on action, you kind of just figure it out. That challenge to me was really cool. I mean, the horror thing down in Albany was cool because I kind of just rolled cigarettes and swore the whole time. I didn't have to do anything physical, which was good. But this required a lot from me. It was hard work. It was in the winter. It was just physically grueling. And I prefer those roles. I prefer a hard, kind of tough environment. Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
any kind of work is good work. Just being clear.
I've got one last question before we open it up to the audiences. So start popping your hands up, and our volunteers will come to you. My last one: being an Australian actor, we know how tough it is getting into the acting scene, being in Australia. Any advice to any aspiring actors or someone wanting to be in the field? Any advice to someone?
Well, I mean, the advice I would give to you is the advice that I take from myself, which is find a genre or a tone that you want to do. Find something that you want to do and be honest with yourself. If it's romantic comedy, if it's being the hero, you're the hero. If it's superhero, it's superhero. And write something and shoot the something that you write. It's not hard. And if it sucks, it sucks. It doesn't really matter the outcome of it, but doing it, you will find, one, if you like it or not, two, you will get better the more you do it, and three, if you have a dream and an idea, you kind of have to follow that and make it happen. Like make that idea, turn that dream or vision into something. It's not that hard to do. You write a 2-page scene, a beginning, middle, and end, and you could get your friend to shoot it on an iPhone. Just say the words. It's not overly complicated. But if you want to get into that kind of thing, that would be where I would start, and kind of just take it from there. Then maybe do a 10-page scene. Then maybe if it's, if you're getting feedback and you really enjoy it, maybe save some money and, spend $500 on getting a cinematographer and good sound, and, just kind of, but start small, start simple, start with what you can do in one day or a weekend. Don't make it too big like I always do. That's literally what I'm doing right now. I'm writing scenes that are 1 page long and just shooting with my iPhone just to get going, because you don't want to sit around waiting too long. It's like a combi. I've got an old 1977 combi. They can't sit there. You got to move them. you got to get gas running through them.
I love it. Well, we've got a lot of questions, so we'll try to get through as many as we can. First one, right at the back.
Oh my God! What are you dressed as?
Rosie from Hasbin Hotel.
All right, I'll add it to the list.
So on set, what is the most valuable thing you can have as an actor in a costume standby?
That's a good question. What set? What movie?
Just in general, when you're on set, what is the best thing you can get from your costume standbys?
This crutch came apart every time I would do a fight. And there was one time, so I'm getting to it. Many times, my costume standby, Hannah, would be bent over in the dark in -30, sewing up my crutch with moving sets around me, and I would not move. And so on that costume, on that set, the most valuable thing was a needle and thread to sew up my crutch. And obviously as the movie goes on, I eat more food and my legs get bigger, and my ass gets bigger. And so the pants are splitting and stretching, so probably a needle and thread. Yeah.
Excellent. One right at the front.
When they eventually make a movie about your life, who do you want to play you, and why is it Orlando Bloom?
Good question. Who would they want to play me, and why is it Orlando Bloom? Oh, okay.
Kind of directing you there a little bit.
Yeah. Orlando Bloom? No. It's weird. But they wouldn't make a movie about me. I'm boring, mate. I just sit at home and play my guitar and get yelled at by my kids. And yeah, I mean, life is like, when I'm doing a movie or traveling or something, it's so so busy, so exciting. You're flying around and you're doing interviews, whatever. When you're at home, there's nothing. So it's that polarity between nothing and everything, which is kind of, that's just the life. That's cool. But on the Orlando front, I remember booking Pirates, and I don't know if Orlando was in at that. I think they brought him in later because they wanted to add an element. I can't remember. Anyway, I remember seeing a photo of myself and Orlando side to side, and I thought, wow, I look exactly like Orlando. Like, what's going on here? He must be my real brother or something. Mum, who were you sleeping with back in the... But that was cool. Just that look was so similar, and he's he was a lovely guy and wonderful father as well. So it was good work with him.
Excellent. Question right at the front here.
Yeah, if they were going to ask you to do a Nightwing movie, would you do it?
I would do anything. If you've written a script and you've got some money, I'll work for you if you want. I'm an unemployed actor, mate. I will do anything. No. That's a good question. I would love to do it. I would love to do a movie. I would love to keep playing the character. That's the simple answer is yes. I would love to do it, but I don't know if... I guess I don't really know what is happening over there. They is Warner Brothers, and they have had a new leader, and then a new CEO with James Gunn and Peter Safran are running DC now, so it's a whole new schedule, which is really exciting. They've got some quite obscure comics that they're turning into movies, and so they've got a bit of a new direction. I would love the Nightwing movie to... I would love to do it because I feel like it would, with a bit of money behind it, TV's, we had a little bit, we didn't have hundreds of millions of dollars, but we had a good sized budget for TV. But if we did magic, if we were to have, more money and make it, a big grand superhero movie, I can imagine how great the action would be, and just that character has such a cinematic way of fighting. His backstory is really emotional and tragic, and so it has a great emotional life as well. I have a question for you. If they were to do the movie, what story would they tell? Like, what do you think, or anyone, what do you think would be a good Nightwing movie? Because we've told the story of, Robin becoming Nightwing. So what would be the next 90 minutes to 2 hours of Nightwing that you would want to see?
The actual establishment of Nightwing, because so far you've got a big jump there between the Batman and Titans. You've got like a middle story there that never really got filmed. So that would
like to see Nightwing as fully formed Nightwing, mature, the great superhero that we all love, funny, flary. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, good pitch. Let's go make the movie.
We got one at the back.
Let's go make the movie.
Hello. How did you find transitioning from your own accent to the accent of all your various characters, especially the American ones?
Well, that's a really good question. I mean, it's really just a thing. If you practice enough, you could just switch into an American accent like that. But the problem is, when I switch into my American accent working in Canada, I sometimes switched into the Canadian accent, I started to add an A. In every impro, I would add an A. And the cameraman would stick his head up and be like, that's Canadian, bro. So it's just practice. I mean, it depends on where the character's from. In the States, because the States has quite a different, Aussies are Aussies, but UK and the States have different accents, wherever you go. In the South, they have more of a drawl. In New York, it's a little bit more attacky. In LA, they're all high, so they're all stoned. It's just a little bit more relaxed. I guess over the years, just learning a general American accent is part of. You got to do it. If you want to work in America as an American, you can't have even a 99% good accent. It has to be. You have to be believable as an American. So that's part of the gig.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Next one, we got Deku, I believe.
Which costume would you say was your favorite in Titans? Robin or Nightwing?
It's a good question. The Nightwing costume looks fantastic, but I hated it, bro. I hated it. Putting that goddamn thing on, it's like, it's so hard to put on. You're fighting it and you sweat, and all your sweat just stays in, because it's... But the Nightwing costume, probably the Nightwing costume. That was great, but because I had a big staff and a cape, it was very hard to swing the staff, the bow staff, around my cape. So every fight scene I had, I'd get frustrated and throw the goddamn thing miles away because it just wasn't practical. But to be honest, I love them both. But I love the practicality of the Nightwing suit because I could move around, you know, I could do stuff. As per the tight crutch, I could barely pick up, you know, my wallet if I dropped it on the ground.
That must have been hard.
Yeah, yes.
Cool. Next question at the back.
If you could choose any DC character, who would be your favorite or who would you want to play?
Great question. I mean, number one would have to be Nightwing, but for the sake of, I've already played that. Number two would have to be Superboy, because he just puts on a t-shirt. That's all he does. Josh gets to work, sticks on a t-shirt, and he's ready. But the second reason is because he has quite a defined backstory. There's good and there's bad, and I feel that the emotional life and the character, but you know, trying to bounce between that, the kind of the devil and the angel on his shoulder, is just it just makes for great drama and great conflict, and just he was great at it. By the way, I thought Josh just really, you know, sent that role and kind of played the good guy that was being influenced by the wrong father figure and wanted to be good, but he did a really good job at that, and I watched him do that and was kind of jealous, you know, so probably Superboy, yeah.
Next one over here.
What's Alex Proyas like in Gods of Egypt?
Alex Proyas was lovely. I mean, he had a vision from the start. A lot of that vision was in post-production, so a lot of it's CGI. So understanding what's happening and where we are, and you know, that was a lot of the work for us, is trying to figure out, like, there's a blue screen there and I'm in a dress. Where are we? What am I, you know? But he was very good at explaining what we needed for that specific point in the film. He was very passionate towards that project, and just let us kind of do our work. You know, he wasn't overly pushy as a director. He wasn't demanding. You know, he kind of expected us to come in and do our jobs, which was nice. And yeah, he made a big budget action movie in Sydney as an Australian director. It's pretty wild, you know. Yeah.
Cool. Another one in the back.
On the set of Titans, who do you think had the best bromance?
Best bromance?
Yeah.
You mean in the show or in real life?
In real life.
Me and Ian Glenn, who played Batman, we were bromantic AF. I loved hanging with Ian because, one, he was such a sweet man, but also because we played tennis. So in the winter, in the snow, we'd get together and play tennis together, and he was very fit for an older guy, so we'd go to the gym together and hang out. But aside from that, I just loved acting with him, you know, and being on set with him. He's very talented, obviously very experienced, so just, you know, it was very comfortable sharing that wisdom. And I respected him a lot from Game of Thrones, obviously. And I really liked how our relationship in real life was brought to the screen in the world of Titans, you know, paralleled. We had that same relationship, our characters had that same relationship. We were kind of building as we went. And when he wasn't brought back for the fourth, I was disappointed because we were getting to a place where, you know, Robin was just starting to overcome and deal with that father figure of Batman, and it went away, which is okay. But yeah, Ian Glenn.
Excellent. Yep, next up in the middle here.
What was it like working with Johnny Depp and Alan Richardson?
Alan Richardson, Alan for years. Alan, we'd actually done 3 movies together beforehand that no one ever saw, or maybe someone saw. He is extremely talented. He's very funny. He's obviously, you know, got a great physique. I mean, he's someone who has a level of commitment that I still aspire to today. He's so driven, you know. He, in the third or third season, he didn't have a lot to do. You know, he wasn't on every day, so he wrote and directed a film. We wrapped, and he directed his own film. He writes a lot. He's written a book. He's constantly hungry to make movies and hungry to work, and it's great to see him doing really well today because he really does deserve it. But yeah, so he was great. You know, looking up to him throughout the shooting was good for me to do because I'm lazy. And then Johnny was lovely. You know, as a lead of a franchise that big, billions of dollars. You know, obviously one of the biggest stars in the world. He's surprisingly humble, very sweet, very kind, very accepting, very understanding of me, who was young and, you know, the beginning of my career and nervous and, you know, experiencing, wow, this movie's wild, you know. So he was very accommodating for me. I mean, that's all you can ask for in a lead, you know. He was perfect.
Yeah. We got a couple questions in the middle here.
Hi. What was working with Curran Walters like on the Titan set?
Who again?
Curran Walters.
Curran Walters. Curran was great. Curran's an actor who will try anything. You know, he's very loyal. He will try anything the director says. He is, and that's quite rare for an actor to do, to be that open and that willing to fail. You know, if it's the stupidest thing in the world, he'll try it and put his heart into it, 100%. And sometimes he'll make a situation fantastic from doing that. Very eager to learn, you know, very passionate about that character, Red Hood specifically. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see him. I mean, he's a guy that really wanted to take that character and build a whole nother world with it. And they were thinking of doing that for a little bit, but it didn't go ahead, unfortunately. But just his attitude on set was probably the best I've ever seen. Curran Walters has a great attitude on set. He just loves being there. He's so kind and like bubbly, and he reminded me of myself like 10 years ago, you know, before I had kids. Now I'm like coffee and falling asleep during the take. But he was great, mate. Yeah, great.
Love it. Next up, right next to them.
So quickly, my group here thinks I look like you apparently. So
you do a bit.
Yeah, I got a photo here if you'd like to see it.
I can see you. You do look like me.
What's your favorite like season of Titans that you were in? Like,
I like the first one because it was establishing it had a darker tone to it. The threats were real. You know, they later on as we pushed into Supernatural, the threats became, I felt, a little bit hard to believe. I really liked the threat of, for my character, I love the Detroit police stuff, you know, and the kind of the detective side to season one. It wasn't so superhero-y. It was kind of bringing it back down to the roots of, you know, doing detective work, which felt more like Christopher Nolan's, you know, tone. Felt real and kind of grounded in that reality. And I really liked the relationship that I had in season one with Deacon Cross' character, Rachel. She had a really traumatic experience that was quite violent and hard to watch. It was very dark and very, what's the word? Like they went there. They went deep, they went dark, they went realistic. And my character felt like he's got the world on his shoulder. He's got a real problem here. You know, it's not just a superhero that's blasting shit into the sky. It's like, there's a guy that murdered this girl's parents and is trying to murder. It's, you know, it just seemed a little bit higher stakes than the other episodes, the other seasons. And the fight scenes were just, I think the fight scenes were better. You know, we had an edge in the fight scenes. We had a lot of guys, we had a lot of time to do it. Well, not a lot of time, but we had the money and the time to get the fight scenes. It's the season where I say, fuck Batman. It felt like, you know, the tone of that, we got it right. Season 2, we went into a little bit lighter of a tone, a bit trying to be funny and trying to, you know, appeal to maybe a younger audience. And then season 3, we got it back. I liked season 3 a lot. And then season 4 was a bit of a roundup on all the seasons, but 1 is where we had that edge and the grind, and I like that.
Cool. We'll head to the back. We've got a question. Oh, we'll do the front one first.
Hi Brendan, how are you?
Good mate, how are you?
Not bad. Just a question on Oculus. How was it like working with Karen on that set?
Oh, Karen's a hoot. Karen is a hoot. She should not be doing horror. She's too funny. We got along like a house on fire. She's just extremely funny, wickedly talented, and just so much fun on set, mate. Like we both just got along just so well and had great chemistry, which was the exact opposite of the film. The film had this, I can't even watch the film, it's too scary. But yeah, she's just super talented. She's musically talented. She writes and directs now. It's great to see her just kind of killing it in Hollywood. But yeah, she was a dream to work with. Yeah.
Excellent. We got this someone over here.
Hi. When you're living in America, what's one piece of Australian culture that you really miss?
Great question.
It's a good question. The accessibility to the ocean. Just our coastline and how pretty it is, especially for you WA people. Like the coastline here is just, it's the best in the world, And I mean, even over east, it's busier, but in LA, I mean, the coastline in America is gorgeous, but I haven't really, I've only seen the LA side of it. And mostly I'm in LA, so that coastline is different. It's not like our coastline. We're so lucky, man. You go to America and I love America. I dreamed of going there from a young age, and just I love everything about it. But at the same time, when I'm there, I miss the land, like the country and the trees and the ocean, and just the more natural elements about being Australian, and the accessibility. Like we park at the beach and we just go into the water. We don't have to pay. We don't have to like sneak in or stand on a syringe or anything. It's like, it's just easy. And that's it. I mean, there's a huge Aussie community in LA, so I love that. Being there, you do get homesick, I guess, from family and friends or whatever. But the Aussie actor community in LA is so strong. And so supportive, and my experience there was not of being homesick, but just kind of the opposite, being very home happy that I'm not at home, away happy. But I miss, I guess, career-wise and work-wise, I miss the crew. I miss that family element that shooting a movie here has, which is a crew here is like family, especially Western Australia. I've done 3 movies here now, and the crews here are just phenomenal. It's why I keep coming back. They have your back. They're really supportive. They're really encouraging. They work well together. When you go over to the States, there's a little bit of a disconnect between actor and crew, and I think it's because a lot of actors in the past have created such a shelf that they sit on, and has distanced themselves from the workers on films and the crew members and the drivers. We don't really have that in Australia. There's no hierarchy. Everyone's in it, and I miss that when I'm in the States, when I'm in Canada. Canada's similar to Australia, but not the same. So that as an actor and as a person in the film industry, I miss when I'm overseas in North America. I miss that glue, that Aussie mateship kind of glue that we have on movies here.
Awesome, thank you. We've only got time for a few more questions. We got someone on the back.
Hey, Brenton, I've got a question everybody wants to know. How much do you bench press?
I actually did bench yesterday, so I can tell you exactly. Not that much. You know what? In Titans, I was getting big and very strong. I felt great. My legs were the size of tree trunks. I had a great chest popping out. And I started doing triathlons, and I lost a lot of weight. I lost about 10 to 15 kilos of muscle because I was getting too big. Alan can put on muscle and look fantastic. I put on muscle and I look like a toad. So I thought, I want to get leaner, I want to get fitter. So I focused more on fitness, endurance stuff, swimming, running, riding. It was great for my mental health as well. Like I do short, building strength, building muscle is great, but you get bored of it because you've got to wait so long before the next rep. If you're doing bench and you do, yesterday I did three reps. So I did one set of dumbbells, 20 kilos, two 20 kilos, 12, 10, 8, and the 8th was 24 kilos. So it's not a lot, but slow. So getting a lot of, just getting a longer period of stress on the muscles. I don't know. I'm talking about like, I have a guy who I went to school with, Ashton. He runs a gym up in North Queensland. He does all my shit for me. I'm not well versed on fitness stuff. He says, go do this right now. I have to go do that right now. So that's kind of how I work, as opposed to like having a long-term program. But then again, like I'm still working at it, mate. Like I'm not the rippedest, biggest dude out there, So Titans, I had to do a lot of training for the first season. A lot of MMA, a lot of kickboxing, boxing training. Kali, which is a Kali, a Filipino martial art form, which involves the sticks and bow staff and different movements. Sticks to one stick, one knife, one hand, like different kind of breakdowns, and then eventually hand-to-hand combat. So that was great to do. I got super ripped, felt super strong, and then I got fat. and then I relaxed, got fat, trained again, got fat again, trained again. The story of everyone's life, right? Thanks for asking.
Excellent. This will be our last question. Take it away.
So in preparation for acting as Dick Grayson, did you go through many of the comics to create your own character?
You know what? The character, they were very specific about what comic to read and focus on. That was the Teen Titans comic. So that group of comics, I forget what the number was or what it was called, but yeah, I don't know if anyone knows, remind me, but and so we the producer Jeff Johns, who was the head of DC at the time, told us to focus on the character from that specific comic book because there was a variation of Nightwings and different comics, and Dick Grayson had a bunch of different starts. Our show was starting kind of at the end of a long run of stories. So once Robin had left Batman, once that chapter was closed, it's kind of where our story started. So it was important to really understand from the writer's point of view where that character was coming from. And Jeff Johns is just a wonderful creator. He wrote Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 2. He's a wonderful guy, but he really involved us in, he really included us in the creation of that character and tried to bring as much of ourselves into it as we did the comics into it, but it was its own thing. It was its own unique story. We left a lot out. We couldn't really include everything from the comics. We had a specific focus. So, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for our Q&A today. But we have another session tomorrow. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to join us again. Some point tomorrow. I don't have the time on me. But you can also find Brenton at his table across the weekend. So feel free to see him there. All the schedules, you'll be able to find that at the desk over there.
Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Thanks
please.
so much. I appreciate it. Great question. Great question.
Thank you all. One more big round of applause. Brenton Thwaites.
Thank you.